Today, I want to share with you something that I learned from Kathy Heller, and it involves being a magnet. There's a study where scientists tested the magnetic field of different eggs, and they found a positive charge at the head and a negative charge at the feet. What happens when a positive and negative charge interact with each other? There's magnetism. It can attract things. Even the Earth has a magnetic field that goes from the interior to interact with the solar wind in outer space. So freaking cool. Later, the scientists measured again the magnetic charge after the eggs had hatched. And what the scientists observed was some of those who had more traumatic or negative births lost the positive charge near the head and had only negative throughout the whole body. This to me means that we can lose our magnetism when we sink into negative energy and allow it to consume our whole being. And how important it is to be a magnet, to make sure that magnetic connection is happening daily. It becomes the difference between having to go out, do, and force an outcome, or attract, draw towards, and magnetize things. Which would you rather have? I know I would rather attract, draw things towards me, and magnetize them rather than having to force it and put that extra energy when we really don't need to, right? It's much easier, effortless, and powerful to do that. So this also reminded me of how important it is for us to reside in the feminine, not because masculine is bad, but because the world runs on masculine doer energy. We basically have no shortage of acting from the masculine. It's often the feminine that gets swept to the side and forgotten. If you want to learn more about these energies and understand if yours are balanced or not, make sure to download our free guide, which I linked in the show notes. And then I also break these concepts down more in episode 2, which I'll link there as well. Residing in the feminine and making sure your energy aligns with it puts you in magnet energy every day. It comes down to what makes you feel good and free. Writing in my journal feels good, and so does lying in bed and starting the day slow, not jumping up as soon as my eyes open and tackling my to-do list. With slower breath, I feel more in tune with the spirit and connected to my true essence. And I notice that when I take the time to feel that spirit and meet with my true self every day, I start getting massive clarity with my business, with my life, and it all comes effortlessly and with great power than had I skipped to the doing part. The minute we lean into doer energy for too long and don't allow ourselves to flow is when we feel resistance, irritability, overwhelm. The ego is a fragile, limited mechanism. It can handle way less than the abundant, limitless spirit that is our true divine essence. And you are a true divine spiritual being having an earthly experience. And the sooner that you and me and all of us can remember that, the more powerful and bold and aligned action oriented we will be. When we prioritize slowing down and leaning into the feminine, really focusing on being that magnet, everything will shift and change. Life will become easier and more joyful. That I can promise you. For all my parents out there, I recognize it may feel more challenging to start the day slow or lean into the feminine when you have family members dependent on you. It's still doable. It may look shorter or different than someone else, but you can find those moments. It may be 10 or 15 minutes of quiet in the morning before the kids get up, or listening to a peaceful podcast episode or music while you're driving. You too can be a magnet. And I want to say that I'm grateful that I've been able to use my time as I have the last few years. As I'm about to become a mom in August, I know my practices will have to shift and change, but I have faith that I can figure out a version of this feeling and practice being that magnet that will fit into this new phase of life. So go out there, be a magnet, and I can't wait to hear what you end up attracting into your life.